Hi, I'm Tom Blomain. Welcome to Graffiti. We're standing here in the Children's Library in front of the Peace Tree. And I'm going to read a poem now by a local poet named Helen Ruggieri. And this is her poem called A Christmas Poem. Our parents spoke languages from countries that disappeared in the war. We were the translators, their hopes, overfed, indulged, rough, and Christmas made us pulse like small tree lights. The building was old and we were young, too many of us sharing books and desks. Our poor teachers added ruffles to their skirts to imitate Dior's new look. We exchanged our dollar gifts, ate cookies from a dozen countries with our nickel milk, and then they'd move us up to 309 and pull the blackout shades. That old projector whirred and flapped, and in that mote-filled arc of light came fuzzy Scrooge. And we'd settle down, forget the smell of damp wool, whistling radiators, who didn't give us what, and watch how we should share, make merry. And every year we'd march upstairs to 309 and watch again, lest we forget. That's Helen Ruggieri's poem, A Christmas Poem. I'm going to read a poem now by the poet Billy Collins called The Lanyard. This poem is for all the moms watching. The other day I was ricocheting slowly off the blue walls of this room, moving as if underwater from typewriting to piano, from bookshelf to an envelope lying on the floor, when I found myself in the L section of the dictionary, where my eyes fell upon the word lanyard. No cookie nibbled by a French novelist could send one into the past more suddenly, a past where I sat at a workbench at a camp by a deep Adirondack lake, learning how to braid long, thin plastic strips into a lanyard, a gift from my mother. I had never seen anyone use a lanyard or wear one, if that's what you did with them. But that did not keep me from crossing strand over strand again and again until I had made a boxy red and white lanyard for my mother. She gave me life and milk from her breasts, and I gave her a lanyard. She nursed me in many a sick room, lifted spoons of medicine to my lips, set cold face cloths on my forehead, then led me out into the airy light and taught me to walk and swim, and I, in turn, presented her with a lanyard. Here are thousands of meals, she said, and here is clothing and a good education, and here is your lanyard, I replied, which I made with a little help from a counselor. Here is a breathing body and a beating heart, strong legs, bones, and teeth, and two clear eyes to read the world, she whispered. And here, I said, is the lanyard I made at camp. And here, I wish to say to her now, is a smaller gift, not the worn truth that you can never repay your mother, but the rueful admission that when she took the two-tone lanyard from my hand, I was as sure as a boy could be that this useless, worthless thing I wove out of boredom would be enough to make us even. That's Billy Collins' poem, The Lanyard. I'm going to read a poem now by the poet Robert Hayden. This is called Those Winter Sundays. Sundays, too, my father got up early and put his clothes on in the blue-black cold. Then, with cracked hands that ached from labor in the weekday weather, made banked fires blaze. No one ever thanked him. I'd wake and hear the coals splintering, breaking. When the rooms were warm, he'd call, and slowly I would rise and dress, fearing the chronic angers of that house, speaking indifferently to him who had driven out the cold and polished my good shoes as well. What did I know? What did I know? of love's austere and lonely offices. That's the poem Those Winter Sundays by Robert Hayden. I'm going to read a very famous poem now by Robert Frost. This one is called The Road Not Taken. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. That's Robert Frost's poem, The Road Not Taken. This is a poem by W.S. Merwin, actually a former Scrantonian. And the name of this is Early January. A year has come to us as though out of hiding. It has arrived from an unknown distance, from beyond the visions of the old. Everyone waited for it by the wrong roads. And it is hard for us now to be sure it is here, a stranger to nothing in our hiding places. That's Early January by W.S. Merwin. This is a poem by Ted Hughes called Theology. No, the serpent did not seduce Eve to the apple. All that's simply corruption of the facts. Adam ate the apple, Eve ate Adam, the serpent ate Eve. This is the dark intestine. The serpent, meanwhile, sleeps his meal off in paradise, smiling to hear God's querulous calling. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Graffiti. I'm Tom Blomain. Peace. See ya.